Persona 5 came out yesterday. If you've been hanging out in the channel for any length of time, either on Twitch or here on YouTube, you know that Persona is a game series that I fell in love with after we played Persona 4 Golden, and I've been waiting for P5 to come out basically since then. I know it's been a lot longer for fans of the series, but for me it's been a fraught year, getting really excited about the opportunity not only to play Persona 5, but to stream it and to share it with you however you consume my content. Now, what happened almost immediately after it released was that Atlus, the publisher of Persona 5, released a web page discussing how they expect people to stream and make videos about Persona 5. Now, this isn't unheard of, but it is unusual. Most game companies, publishers especially, don't really acknowledge streaming as a thing. Many do, and often in a positive way. Not so with Atlus. Atlus is very concerned about people spoiling their game. And so when they created these guidelines for Persona 5, they laid out several things that you can and can't do in videos. Areas of the game you can and can't cover, things you can and can't discuss. In addition, there's a specific point in the game, July 7th, where you are not allowed to stream or create videos of content thereafter. Now, this is not totally out in left field. This is a thing that, as a streamer, I've had to deal with before, but primarily in terms of embargoes on content that has not yet been released to the public. Now, Persona 5 has been out in Japan for a very long time. Fan translations exist. The game's story is not an unknown quantity, which makes this a bit unusual. So, what for me has been kind of frustrating is that, yes, this is something that is happening. This is something that we have to address as fans of Persona, fans of streaming, and for me as a business decision, whether or not I'm willing to go along with these constraints that Atlus has placed on us as streamers. And the reason why I say go along with it is that there really isn't any precedent here. Streaming as a thing is not an accepted fair use of existing content. Technically, just about any game company could say the same things or more that Atlus has been saying. What's strange to me is that Atlus chose to allow some of this material to be streamed, but not all of it. And in an attempt to control what the streamers and broadcasters of the internet are putting out there online, what they're essentially asking us to do is create free advertising content for them. They're asking to creative direct and to manage our content without directly compensating us for it. And that's frustrating. Now, all of this, on top of all of this stuff, it's important to remember that streaming and YouTube broadcasting, they exist in a sort of nebulous copyright area, right? I don't have the right, the legal right, to just stream whatever I want. My playthroughs of Horizon Zero Dawn, of Persona 4 Golden, of any of the games that you've enjoyed on my Twitch channel and on YouTube technically exist in a sort of copyright gray area where we can do it so long as the companies in question don't come after us. It's an uncomfortable place to be. It's a strange place to have your living where copyright law doesn't really cover what we do in any real or meaningful way. So this kind of stuff feels scary when a publisher decides to say, no, we're going to step in and tell you what you can and can't do. When someone tells me what I can't do, my initial response is, well, too bad. Right, I'm my own person, I get to do what I want. But Atlus isn't asking nicely, Atlus is threatening. In their webpage, which I suggest you definitely check out for yourself. I'm not going to read it all here, but in there is a subtle hint, there's an implication that shutdowns, hard strikes on channels that broadcast content that they don't want broadcast are coming. That if we stream past 7.7 in Persona 5, we can expect that Atlus, as a publisher, their lawyers will try to have our content removed from the internet. And these kinds of things can have deeper ramifications in terms of looking at how we interact with other publishers. If a publisher looks at you and sees that you have these copyright takedowns, they're less likely to work with you in the future. And also YouTube and Twitch have been known to remove content or issue channel shutdowns, temporary or permanent, based on these kinds of copyright infractions. I'm really sad that this is something that's happening with a game that I am so interested in sharing with you and talking about. I believe that the work that I do on Twitch and on YouTube has merit on its own. We use games as a platform to discuss larger things. I talk about queer issues, I talk about narrative, I talk about game design. We talk about things that are meaningful in real life. And the art that I create is inherently attached to someone else's content. And without any kind of legal backing, it can be scary when these things come along. So I guess that's all I really have to say about it, is just that it's frightening. And that if you don't like it, tell Atlus, tweet at them, email them, let them know that this kind of thing is not how you want video game copyright vis-a-vis broadcasting to work. Let's open up these channels. Let's talk about what copyright looks like now and what copyright should look like, what we want as consumers in the future. So what we're going to do on the channel is I'm just going to stream. I'm going to enjoy as much of the game as I can. I'm going to hope that something changes. I'm going to hope that by the time we get to that hard cutoff date, that maybe Atlus will have changed their mind. And if not, I guess I'm going to go play Kingdom Hearts. This is something that we all need to kind of think about. It's maybe not the biggest social issue in the world, but it impacts me and it impacts you. And it gets to decide what kinds of things we see and the ways in which we see them. Thanks for watching, everybody.